Policy-making institutions. Even though each branch of government has separate powers, a significant policy-making function is defined by the Constitution. In addition, the development and growth of bureaucracies becomes a fourth branch of government because it has independent regulatory power and is connected directly and indirectly to the federal government itself. The President, as chief executive, proposes to Congress a legislative agenda. Along with this agenda is a budget proposal that defines the extent of government involvement in supporting legislation as well as the size of government. The decision to sign or veto legislation determines the fate of legislation and the resulting public policy. Congress, through its committee system and ultimately its votes, determines the fate of the President's legislative agenda and the proposed budget. Over the last 30 years, the issue of the nation's deficit has been paramount in determining the nature of legislation passed. This changed in 1996 after President Clinton signed a balanced budget. By 2000, the debate shifted away from deficit spending to what the budget surplus should be used for. The Supreme Court, in particular, had a direct impact on the public policy through its interpretation of the Constitution and how it relates to specific issues brought before the court. An activist court will forge new ground, and through such decisions as Roe v. Wade or Brown v. Board of Education, establish precedents that will force legislative action. A court that shows judicial restraint will maintain the status quo or mirror what the other branches of government have established as current policy. Decisions that establish the legitimacy of state restrictions on abortions, such as parental approval and a narrower interpretation of Miranda rights, were characteristics of a more conservative Rehnquist court in the late 1980s and 1990s. The size of government has increased since World War II as a result of the bureaucracy, which became an integral part of the government. Even though the size of the government workforce has decreased, the influence of the bureaucratic agencies on public policy has been dramatic. In particular, regulatory agencies such as the Food and Drug Administration and the Environmental Protection Agency have issued directives as a result of congressional legislation. The Clean Air Act resulted in a number of policy statements by the EPA regarding auto pollution in the individual states. The FDA debated the advisability of approving the abortion pill R1.4 and gave the go-ahead for a private group to conduct testing. It was approved in 2000 and consumers were able to purchase the drug.